Let's be real. Starting, running, and scaling a coaching business can feel exhausting. I mean, you've got the marketing, the hustling, the selling, all that stuff you didn't realize you would need to master when you decided to start a coaching business. For anything like me, you started your coaching business to change the world, to improve the lives of others while improving your own. Well, the truth is, running a business doesn't have to be as hard as many of us have made it out to seem. And you don't even have to do all that hustling stuff if you don't want to. You really can get into flow, into your zone of genius, and get back to the work you were sent here to do. But you have to ask for help. You have to be willing to work in new ways. You have to be willing to open up your mind to mentors who might be doing it differently than you've ever considered. And you have to be willing to actually implement new ways of thinking and running your business. If you're up for that, stay tuned. I'm Hanna Hermanson, your certified coach, international speaker, author, and yes, the founder of Dream Life is Real Life and the host of this show. And I've been able to help hundreds of coaches build, scale, and enjoy their online businesses. Essentially, make their dream life their real life. And if you'd like help improving your business life and get your coaching business to the next level, we might be able to help you. Head on over to dreamlifeisreallife.com/show to get all the resources and episodes that we talk about in this community. You can join our Facebook community, you can find me on Instagram, but more importantly, if you're really ready to integrate what you learn here today and on other episodes, then you'll be able to set up a complimentary 10-minute chat with my team. Again, at dreamlifeisreallife.com/show, no strings attached. We love getting to know you and seeing what are the right next moves for you. But now let's get on to the show. In this podcast, you'll find the real people, concrete tactics, and weekly motivation and inspiration to make your dream life and business real. I started this podcast to bring you the role models that I never had. We talk to successful entrepreneurs, freedom seekers, business owners, and people living life on their own terms. To be a true leader, to create the legacy you desire, and to live in alignment, you need a tribe lifting you up. And I've made it my mission to be your tribe, to bring them to your ears at least, because after all, we are all in this together. Now, let's cue the music. All right, everyone, we are back with one of our hit guests, Susan Bratton. Susan is an intimacy wellness expert and a champion and advocate for all those who desire intimacy and passion their whole long life. She is a best-selling author and publisher of lovemaking techniques, bedroom communication skills, and sexual vitality. She is an expert in everything intimate wellness, sexual regenerative protocols, and ageless sexuality. And we'll be talking a lot more about where you can find Susan at the end of the show here. But definitely, be sure to check out the 20 store. Is that right?
The20store.com. Mm-hmm.
.com. Well, thank you again for being here. This is one of our most viewed episodes that we've done so far on the show. And so we're excited to have you back and continue this conversation around intimacy and sexuality and how it impacts us as business owners. So I would love to start. We chatted right at the beginning of quarantine, like 10 months ago. Here we are. I'd love to know, what was 2020 for you? What has been kind of your learnings or your evolutions since, last time we got to chat?
Well, that's like the perfect question. This is why you're so good at what you do. You just know what the right questions to ask are. It's funny because, we're doing this episode on why your sex life is so important to your career, really is what we're talking. That's our case here, right? And, the last time I talked, right after the last time I talked to you, I got COVID. I was one of the earliest people to get COVID, and it slayed me. And I'm literally just starting to come back to work now, 11 months later. I was so sick. I didn't go to the hospital. But I ended up with one of those COVID long haul symptoms of chronic fatigue and neuroinflammation. My brain didn't work and I had absolutely no energy. I'm finally starting to get back on my feet. And I am 59 years old. I'm the CEO of 2 companies. I run a company called Personal Life Media, and we're a publishing company of passionate lovemaking techniques. And I run The 20, which is a supplement company for energy and libido supplements for vitality and sexual vitality. And I couldn't work. And for the last year, my team has had to run the business without me. Now, my husband and I work together, and we have for the last 15 years, but he doesn't do the content. He doesn't do the strategy. He doesn't do the revenue generation. He's not the face of the business. So we literally lost the CEO of our company for nearly a year. I'm really still not back full time. And the thing I had to learn how to do was surrender to my healing. That every time I tried to get up and work, it pushed me further back. And I had to just lie the frick down and heal and rely on other people. And I've always been, and I know a lot of the people who follow you, your fans and followers, are natural healers, helpers. They're people who want to be in service to change the world and to make a difference. And often they forget to take care of themselves in the wanting to help other. And it's a lesson that my revenue did not decline. It actually grew a tiny bit in the last year when I surrendered and let everyone else just handle everything. Now, we didn't launch a few products I'd hoped to launch, and some things didn't get done as fast as I would have liked them to if I'd been there driving the company, which is my job as the leader and CEO, setting the strategy and making this stuff happen. But that's, I think, the core. Sorry, Hannah, what'd you say?
Yeah, no, I would love to hear, and I didn't know I was asking the right question, but there's so much here. So I'd love to hear your final thought, and then I have more questions.
Yeah. So what I think you have to understand is that the world is made in support of each other. And when you try to do it all, you are doing yourself and the world a disservice. And when you don't leave time for your own nurturing and your own sexuality, what you're actually giving up is both your ability to have pleasure that basically reboots your nervous system. Intimacy, connection, orgasm, they reboot your nervous system. They discharge negative emotion. And when you are too busy or you don't put focus and attention on your sexuality, you rob yourself of both the discharge, the connection, but also your creativity. Because your desire, your drive, your ambition, your lust for life they're all different words for the same thing. Your drive is your sex drive. Your lust for life is also your lust for pleasure and connection. And honoring that is super important. And so many women feel very disconnected from the possibility of having a good sex life. They want it, but they're not getting it. Or they're like, I can't meet anybody. And I know you're going to tell me to self-pleasure, but that's not really going to get me where I want to go. Or, there's like a lot of obstacles that we put up in having the experience of pleasure and connection.
Yeah.
So we could talk about removing some of those obstacles, or we can go wherever you want to go.
Well, I love what you're highlighting. It's really about limiting beliefs. And the limiting beliefs we have about what we deserve in the bedroom can totally translate into other aspects of our life. What we think we deserve for salary, what we think we deserve in our business. And as you were talking, I was thinking about when I quit my cubicle job, and I remember thinking I was such a big deal and they were going to be so upset when I quit, and what are they going to do without me? And then I watched them be totally fine without me and like not even replace my position, but just like move on, which not saying that that's what your team did, but you were able to see like, oh, like it didn't blow up. It didn't vanish. Like the team is still doing their thing and they are resilient people with and without me. And as you were speaking, I also had a light bulb go on because that experience of thinking this is such a big deal, I'm going to quit my job, all this anxiety obviously was harbored in my body. And after I quit my job and moved into entrepreneurship and allowed myself to pursue what I loved in my work, love showed up. And like the best sex of my life showed up, and the most comfort in my body I ever had showed up. And so I think what you're saying around, intimacy and sexual pleasure, it really just comes down to like what beliefs you've put on and are walking around with. And I would love to know from you, Susan, without going and like quitting our jobs or getting sick for 10 months, what are some of the ways to allow for the pleasure or to open up some of those channels for ourselves in intimacy as well as business?
Well, like a true entrepreneur, I say, add it to your list.
I have one. Perfect.
Right? Get it on the schedule. So first things first, look at your vagina in a mirror. Our vaginas, and by the way, I said vagina, but I like to use the word vulva, but I even like to use the word yoni more. Yoni is a Sanskrit word that comes from tantric lovemaking. That's a more honorable, sacred word to me for our genitalia, our lady parts. And the male version of it is lingam, which I also think is much nicer than penis. Mm-hmm. The vagina is just the birth canal. The entire external and internal kind of genital structures are technically called the vulva, but I don't even think that's a really great word. I just love yoni. So let's just call it a yoni.
I know we have some yoni egg folks who listen, so they're with you.
Oh, perfect. And the yoni eggs, the jade eggs, they are really nice experiences. I like them and recommend them. So look at your vulva. Look at it before you get your period. Look at it in the morning. Look at it after you've pleasured yourself. Get to know it. Put your finger in your vagina and see how it feels. Is it soft? Is it ridgy? Is it tacky? Is it sticky? Is it slippery? Is it dry? Is it whatever? Because the more you connect to the rhythm of your body, the more you can see that your vagina is literally changing every day. It's going with your cycles. And when you're thinking about your cycles and you're thinking about your moon energy, you're thinking about the ebb and the flow of your energy and your focus and your drive, because they ebb and flow too. And the more that you're in touch with your parts and your flows, the more that you're grounded in who you are as an animal. Because we are animals. Homo sapien is, if you think about the tree of life, there's the dolphins and the whales, and there's the, kitty cats and the tigers and the lions. And then there's this branch of the tree of life that is called the great apes. And the great apes are orangutans and gorillas and chimpanzees and bonobos and Homo sapien. And that's us. We are freaking monkeys, basically. We're not monkeys, we're primates. And the fact that we get all up in our heads, we're an entrepreneur, we're a healer, we're a manifester, we're this is all just abstract malarkey compared to the fact that we live in an animal body.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're much more in tune with your animal body, when you're feeling pleasure, when you're co-creating intimacy with another person, there's a soulful depth to that flavors the work that we do in the world.
Mm-hmm.
It has a richer, more savory flavor to it when we're tapped into our feminine powers.
Mm-hmm.
And the seat of our feminine powers are our yoni. And it is such a powerful, magical place. It's the place of life. It's the place of pleasure. It's the place of adoration. And if we don't adore it, who's going to adore it? If we don't look, how could we allow other to look? Once you begin to desensitize yourself to your own genitals, once you become familiar with them, once you look at them before you've made love and after you've made love, and you're like, wow, it was all flat. It was like a flappy patty. And now it's all like a plumpy pillow. That's amazing. Once you behold the majesty of the seat of your creativity, it begins to flourish. Mm-hmm. The other thing that I would say is that G-spot exploration is extremely releasing and revealing and healing. Almost every woman, it is almost impossible to escape trauma as a woman. Sexual trauma, sexual shame, things like that. And they weigh on us as a burden until we release them and take our sexuality back. And that makes us more whole. And when we're whole, we can connect with other in a more holistic way. And so G-spots hold a lot of our tension. We have this thing called an enteric nervous system. And that's where we hold the memories of trauma. And that's zeroed right in that G-spot area. And the G-spot is right inside your vagina, right inside the vaginal opening, on the roof of your cave, if you will. So 12 o'clock up toward your clitoris, up toward your tummy, right inside, about one knuckle in. You'll feel it, and it'll often feel kind of ridgy. And for some women, it actually feels rough. It could almost feel like sandpaper. And the more that you rub that area and you put a little pressure, that area loves pressure, loves to be pushed on. When you are able to rub and put pressure on that area, it releases all this stuck anger, humiliation, shame, hurt, abuse, things that make us contract and feel not strong. They weaken us. And so the G-spot itself is kind of the crowning glory place of our confidence and our being able to just kind of walk into a room and light it up. It's what calls people to us because they can tell we've moved through our wounding into wholeness. Mm-hmm. It attracts more people because we've released those sad things. Yeah. And then that can move you into female ejaculation, which all women can do. It's perfectly natural. Some women do it as a learned skill. Some women do it. They come by it naturally. And it's when you are able to express fluid from your yoni, you have hit a level of surrender to, I don't care what anybody thinks of me. I'm going to just let it all go. I'm going to let it all flow. And when you do that, you take your right as a woman, as a goddess, for being able to be sexually self-expressed. And when you ejaculate, it's like, I always say it's like a good cry and an orgasm had a baby. It's this level of orgasmic release that is nothing like a clitoral orgasm. It's incredibly, like it washes you clean. You feel like you were freshly born. Your face looks totally different. And it's not pee and you can learn how to do it. And it's the most releasing thing you will ever, that I personally have ever experienced. And I'm an old lady that's had a ton of crazy experiences my whole life. So we start by talking about business and end up by talking about releasing our feminine waters, our divine nectar, Amrita, as a way to become more powerful in who we are, so we can stand taller and bring our gifts to the world in a better way and attract people who are ready to have the gifts from a goddess.
Yeah. And I think, again, back to this, like breaking free of those limitations or that constriction that you talked about that we do carry around in our bodies. And I know listeners, especially like yoga teachers and even like RIM practitioners that listen, are aware of, inner child work. And honestly, Susan, I've done some of it. It's not fun. It's hard and it's teary and it's painful and there's a place for it. But what you're saying is so much more exciting, that we can use pleasure to heal traumas and make us more magnetic in everything we do, including, business. How have you seen this play out for you or other people once they really start to harness that goddess? What happens after that? What happens around them?
Well, I want to say that I've written, I have a program called Female Liquid Orgasm that teaches you how to find your G-spot, stroke your G-spot, how to ejaculate, what it's like, the myths surrounding it, etc. It's videos, audios, and ebooks. And it's at femaleliquidorgasm.com. And there are free pleasure reports there that you can get. So there's no obligation to buy, but there's free information on that website as well. If that appealed to you, because once I was 45, when I first had my first goddess healing massages, G-spot massages, and started to experience female ejaculation. And it literally set me off on the course of launching the two companies that I have now. That was what did it for me, was finally having orgasms from intercourse and finally having my G-spot healed. I had a lot of sexual trauma as a child. I had a stepfather who abused me. I had a lot of boyfriend traumas. I had just a lot of things happen to me over the years. That's why I ended up in my second career as an intimacy wellness expert, because I wanted to help heal all the people like me who knew there was more, but they couldn't find it, and help them understand what they were going for so they could co-create it with someone. And what I like about Female Liquid Orgasm is that it was created by my friend Tallulah Sulis. She has taught thousands and thousands of people around the world to achieve this liquid bliss. And I had her create it for me and I published it. And it was one of the very first programs that I published. I launched my business, which has now been going on for 15 years. I have millions of fans and followers and hundreds of thousands of customers. And, I couldn't have done it had I not had that level of sexual awakening. So I am an entrepreneur because of that.
Yeah. I know one of my friends, she wrote her book, it was fueled by sex. It happened to be about an intimate relationship, but it doesn't have to be. She talks about how when you are in so much pleasure, and even when you're about to, complete the cycle of that, go use that creative energy, right? Because we are creating. We do have all of the creative juices that we need flowing and present when you're stimulated, right? In the most prehistoric, like you said, we are Homo sapiens, first and foremost.
We are.
Yeah. Did you have something more on that?
No, go ahead.
Wonderful. Because I think that what you're saying, I just want to kind of reiterate two things from your story around, really starting your business and opening up to some of these practices, is that you channeled some of your pain into your purpose. And I know there are people listening who wonder why something happened to them, or why something is difficult, or why they're going through a divorce or something. But, a lot of times your message is in the mess. And you're a great example of figuring out something that can help you become a better, more complete human, and then yes, packaging it up and making a business out of it. But I think the real lesson that people can take is that there is a reason for the pain. And when you figure it out, how to overcome it, how to move forward in your life, it's almost like your purpose or your duty to turn around and help other people or women who haven't had the experiences that you've had yet.
Yeah, I love that. Your greatest wound becomes your greatest gift. That's the phrase I've always used. That's how come I ended up being a sexpert, because it opened me. I had a very successful Silicon Valley career, extremely successful. And I didn't want to work for anybody anymore. And I didn't want to be the only woman in a room full of men all slapping their dicks on the table, trying to out-territory each other and playing the fixed pie game. I didn't like it. And I also equally didn't want to work with a group of women where there'd be a bunch of bitching and backstabbing. I wanted to be an entrepreneur where I was going to be able to call the shots. And I didn't have the confidence until I'd had those sexual healing experiences. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And it still took me years. When people would first ask me what I did for a living, I would get a lump in my throat when I answered, I'm a publisher of passionate lovemaking techniques. Now I can say it like it's nothing. But being a publisher of passionate lovemaking techniques, being a sexpert, it's edgy. I mean, Hanna, it makes people nervous. People have so much shame about their desire. And so, I mean, they're just like, they get so uncomfortable. And we
turn into 13-year-olds, right?
Yes. And, it's like I had to learn how to not take on their shame. And then when I started realizing I'm never being myself and wanting that to make you feel less than, but I can't not be who I am. I will try to go gentle with you, whoever you are. If I see you being uncomfortable, I will be gentle, but I won't be ashamed. And then that gave me more confidence to step into my full self, which often is being a leader who gives people permission to have the thing they really want, but are afraid to ask for. Mm-hmm. I was recently at an event with 100 millionaires, and there were like 3 women in the room and all the rest were dudes. This is my life. And we had to go around the room and we had to say what our superpower was. And I thought, what is my superpower? What's my superpower? I don't know. Superpower, leadership. And then I was like, I know what my superpower is. My superpower is courage. It takes an inordinate amount of courage to be a sexpert in the world today when everyone is triggered about their sexuality. Mm-hmm. But when I learned how to stand up and stand strong and hold the space for you, whoever you are, for you, when I was like, no, I'm your fierce den mother. I'm holding the space for you to have the intimacy, the connection, and the pleasure that you deserve, that is your birthright. And the path to it is so friggin' simple. So what I would say is out of every 100 people, there's maybe 10 or 15 who are what I call sexual seekers. These are the people who are like, yeah, I want more. Teach me what to do. Give me the techniques. Tell me the communication skills. Help me heal my wounds. And I want that. And I've been happy just to find those people, just to find the ones who are like, yes, I am a sexual seeker. I want to have great sex. You're 59 and you're having the best sex of your life. I'll have what she's having. They're my people. And I can't take care of the world. We all learn that. We can't help everybody. We have to find the ones who jive with us that we can help. And then have the courage. I'm a lion-hearted woman. I look like a lion. I'm a Leo. I'm lion-hearted for people. Mm-hmm. I make it okay for you to know you can have this pleasure. Now let's just figure out where you are and what you want. And let me teach you what you need to get there. And by me teaching you, it's literally just, here's a free ebook, or yeah, you can buy this video series from me or whatever. Like, I never worry about whether anybody buys something from me or they just literally there are people who have been on my mailing list for 15 years, never bought a single thing. They've probably downloaded 30 different free gifts I've created for them.
And they're listening right now.
And I am just as happy that they're in my life as I am that the person who owns every single thing I ever make. It's all good to me because what I'm doing is fulfilling my purpose, which is helping people connect with pleasure.
And you're a trailblazer. And I think a lot of what you said it much more nicely to me, but I will tell clients, don't dim your light just because it will hurt someone else's eyes. They will find sunglasses and you will blaze a trail, because the people who find sunglasses and want to talk about you at high school reunions or whatever aren't your people, but you are blazing a trail for the ones who are seeking this out, who are waiting for the courageous leader to show them, hey, it's okay. You can come along.
Yeah. Amazing. I just love how you tie everything back into nice, simple, you wrap stuff up with a bow. I love that about you. You really do.
Well, thank you.
You were made for this.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. We're both on our trails and attracting some people with sunglasses and some people who see the light and appreciate it. So thank you for that. And Susan, before we chat away the whole afternoon here, let's tie this with a bow. And will you tell people where they can continue the conversation with you or pick up more of these free resources or tools that you've been speaking of? Where can they find more of you?
Couple different places. The main website where you can find all my sex techniques and thousands of articles you can search on any subject you'd like is at personallifemedia.com. I've also done hundreds of videos on pretty much every sex thing you could imagine at betterlover.com. I also have a series of libido supplements. They're basically like a 1-a-day multivitamin and mineral complex with a libido botanical in them. They're fantastic. It's called Desire. And I also have a blood flow supplement, which is fantastic for vaginal lubrication and increased sensation, as well as good heart and cognitive function. And that's at the 20 store and the20store.com. And then if you just want to see ridiculous pictures of me wearing skimpy clothing with my boobs sticking out, which I like to do, that's on Instagram.
Yes.
At Susan Bratton, because I always think, why would you be a sexpert if you're not sexy? Mm-hmm. And one of the things I realized about Instagram was it didn't really want any of my posts about any sex techniques. What it wanted was cute pictures of me with low cut tops. It is the most ridiculous. You have to give social media what it wants. Yeah. And different mediums. Twitter wants a pithy phrase and Instagram wants boobs. And I have boobs and I'm a sexpert. So I'm like, all right, what the hell, you people? Here's the boobs. Here's the boobs for you. Isn't that the funniest thing? But it's a business. It's a lesson in business that, totally. Every medium has its thing it wants. And when you strike that, you can tell.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I also think, it goes back to that magnetism that we've talked about. When you just own it, when you have healed enough traumas that you can put yourself out there in a confident and magnetic way. Yes, they will respond to your, physique, but there's more, right? Because it's more than just boobs, in my opinion. I think they're attracted to more of your essence than just that.
It's a woman in her power saying, I feel beautiful and sexy. And I don't have
what every other woman wants.
Right. I don't have an OnlyFans or a Patreon. I'm not trying to get money for it. I'm literally just expressing my feminine sexuality in a way that makes me happy and apparently makes a lot of other people happy too.
I love it. Yeah.
And it's that's just another facet of who I am. I mean, I'm running the leadership meeting and then I'm posting, a boob picture. And we have all that within us. And I will not be shut down for being a beautiful, sexy woman. I want to be that. I show up as that. I represent that. And when I do, I represent that for other women to feel good about it too.
Mic drop. Thank you.
Boom.
We will make sure that we have all the links for resources and Instagram with the show notes here. Thank you, as always, Susan, for bringing your light and positivity. Listeners, I will be back next week with another inspiring guest that will help you make your dream life your real life. That's right, friends. That'll do it for our show today. But remember, if you're really ready to implement and take these ideas into action, then hop on over to dreamlifeisreallife.com/show, and you can access all of the resources we talked about, and more importantly, set up a complimentary 10-minute phone call with my team so that we can help you get clarity and some concrete action steps in place, so this doesn't just become another one of those feel-good moments, but an opportunity to actually make a change in your life and business, because all good things come in action. So we'll see you over there at dreamlifeisreallife.com/show and next week here on the show.